Okay, in this video, I'm going to show you how we can make mobile buttons. So the first thing we're going to need to do is to go to our level 1 and we're going to make some buttons here. And so if this is my room, I want to put some buttons down here. So I'm going to add an object for some buttons. So those will be sprites. I'm going to call this object left button. And I'll add an animation with Piscal. And there are some good ones in my assignments folder. I've got a folder called Gdevelop5 on Drive W, but you could draw your own just as easy. I also go here and I go view as large icons, and that way you can see the icons of all the buttons in the folder. So it's easier to see, and you'll see down here I've got a button that I'll use for left, and I'll do the same thing and I'll make a button for right, where was it? I think it's this one here. And, oops, how did I not name that one well? So let's edit that one and call it object button left. I don't need to add any behaviors to these. These are just very simple object button jump. Okay, now that I've got the 3 buttons, I'm going to place them on my screen. And one of the things that's important when I place these on the screen is I'm going to put the left button slightly off of the screen because the mobile device is wider than the screen. And so this shows me, the black line here shows me where the computer screen would be, but on my mobile device it's going to be a fair bit wider. So I'm going to place these very close to the edge. In fact, I'm going to place the left one slightly off the edge. One issue that we need to do is right now, placing them into the room, they would disappear as Mario would travel along. So just like we did with the coins collected text, it's on a layer called display layer. I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to select a button and I'm going to say put it on the display layer. That way it's stuck to the display. It won't move as Mario moves. It'll keep in the exact same spot on the screen, and so as you play the game, the button will still be there. Otherwise, the button would go away. So let's get to the code part of this, and I'm going to go to the game events. And currently, right now, we have this event called at the beginning of the scene. And I like to keep things organized. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a group here as I get started. And I'm going to say initialize game. And so this is where I would put things like set a scene variable, hide objects, that sort of thing. So I'm just going to put initialize game, and I'm going to just make a group for that. Great. I just wanted to show you that because in a minute I'm going to add some additional things there. In fact, maybe I'll do it right now. One of the first things I need to do is I need to deactivate the cursor for the mouse touch, because if you have multi-touch, right now you can see I've got just one cursor. Right now it appears as a hand with a finger pointing, but that cursor only can be in one place. However, if I look at my game here, I want to be able to have my touch or cursor on the left button and the jump button potentially at the same time. So what I need to do is have multi-touch. And so to do that at the beginning of the game, I'm going to say, nope, this isn't a mouse clicking game. This is going to add, we want to deactivate. So I say deactivate, and you'll see there's a little hand with a finger. Deactivate moving the mouse when you touch. And so if I do the touch screen, I don't want the mouse to follow because I want to be able to touch multiple places at the same time. And you can read about the support right here, but we'll just say OK. So that's one of the things I want to initialize at the beginning of the game. Okay, now let's make the buttons. Super easy. So I'm going to make a group here, and I'm going to call this group buttons. And then I'm going to add some event for the buttons. And so the event is going to be if the left button is the mouse is on it. So that is the cursor mouse touch. And can I find it in the quick mode? I don't see it in the quick mode. So I'm going to just type in mouse, and it says the cursor touch. So if we touch the object, and I'll say OK. So if we touch the left button, what I want to do, the action is going to be simulate the left press of Object Mario. And then I'm going to do another event, and let's indent it. Exact same thing. The on the right button, the mouse is touching it, and what I want to do is I want to simulate the right button press of Object Mario. Great. The last one I want to do is I want to have the cursor touch is on the jump, and I want to say the mouse is on the jump button, and I want to simulate a jump, which is the jump key press for Object Mario. And that's it. So now one of the last things is, so we should test the game, and so I'll press play and just test the game, and I should see that it should work. If I press the left button or the right button, it moves right or left, and if I simulate on the jump, it's going to jump. Of course, on a computer, I can't demonstrate doing two things at once, and in fact, on the computer, I don't necessarily want to see the buttons because I'm going to play with the keyboard. So one last thing I want to add to the buttons, and is I'll maybe stick it even at the very top for organization, is I want to say if it's a mobile, so I type in mobile, is a mobile device. If it is not a mobile device, so in other words, the device is mobile, and I said not, so I invert the condition. If it's not a mobile device, I don't want to see these buttons. So I'm going to add this as extra. You don't really have to if you don't mind seeing the buttons when you play on a computer, but I want to make it so I could play this on a computer, or I could play it on my phone. So what I want to do is I want to hide, and I would say I'm going to hide the left button, and I want to hide the right button, and I want to also hide the jump button. So if the device is not a mobile, in other words, it's a computer, hide the buttons. Great. That's it for this lesson, and the next thing I guess we'll be able to do, we should work on making the game good and play it. One other thing to think about is making an ending for a game. So really what I should do is add another room, just like I did with the start room. make a room for the end room that maybe has the princess or something and says congratulations. And I might have some sort of action, like maybe a big mushroom or a toadstool or a flag or something that designates that I want to get, or a castle. And if Mario has a collision with the castle, show the end room, something like that. So think about that. Also think about what sort of things we can add to make the game more fun to play, more enemies, other things, and just make it a better game.